Hey guys, it's Angelo again, and this is part 3 of my opinions and views on the DPS classes and specs currently on the Legion beta. In this video I'll talk about the Paladin, the Druid, the Warlock, the Death Knight, and the Warrior, which concludes this series. Keep in mind that all of my information and my opinion is derived from the Legion beta, meaning all is subject to change. If your favorite spec has not been discussed yet, this is because it does not compete with its rival DPS specs within the same class. That does not mean that the spec is bad by any means, it simply means that I don't believe we will see a lot of those specs at launch, as they are too reliant on artifact traits, gear, or both combined. Now I do hope you enjoyed this video, and without further ado, let's begin. The Paladin. Boy, what a cool looking class, honestly. The Paladin is definitely designed for players who enjoy flashy spells and combat animations, a bit of button smashing, and having the constant feeling of serving justice to your foe. I have to say that currently the Paladin does lack a little bit of damage in my opinion, and fails to compete with other classes in his niche. I'm not saying he's bad, but realistically speaking, if you were to compete for a raid spot with a warrior, a demon hunter, or a rogue perhaps, then things may look grim for you. Something that sets the Paladin apart from other classes though, especially in his niche, are his buffs. The blessings still exist, and seeing as pretty much all the other buffs have been removed, this gives the Paladin something incredibly individual and valuable. So what the Paladin lacks in damage at the moment, he makes up for with raid utility. Also, they have one of the coolest class halls in the game, let's be real. I also want to add that I'm pretty sure changes will be coming to the Retribution Paladin soon, probably at launch, maybe a bit earlier during the late beta, so don't write the class off just yet. The Druid is in an interesting position at the moment. Bringing 2 DPS specs to the game, the Druid is able to compete with both, however also gets outsourced in both. Feral is capable of doing damage, but with more effort than the likes of a Survival Hunter or a Demon Hunter, for example. What Feral brings to the table though is something almost unthinkable without when it comes to mythic difficulty in raids and dungeons, the stampeding roar and high amounts of movement. I hope this utility combined with solid DPS gives the Feral a chance against a pretty tough competition within the melee classes. The Balanced Druid has a similar problem, as many Druids complain about the changes of playstyle with the lunar bar being removed. This combined with the same issues the Feral has could cause a problem for our beloved Boomy. When it comes to multi-dotting and cleaving more specifically, the Boomkin is outcompeted by the likes of a Shadow Priest and a Warlock. The Druid is a lot more mobile though, and with an interesting affinity talent, he can temporarily fulfill roles within a group that both Shadow Priests and Warlocks cannot. The Warlock is in a very comfortable position at the moment, which leaves me with almost nothing to say that wouldn't be obvious with this class. It competes in damage with all 3 of its specs, Demonology, Affliction, and Destruction, and what's even better about it is the fact that all 3 are so well designed around their specific function that they all feel complete, effective, competitive, and fun. Demonology is able to deal stupid amounts of AoE damage, Affliction can very well be considered the master of multi-dotting, and Destruction does high amounts of single target damage, competing with every single class in the game. The Affliction Warlock feels a bit clunky compared to the likes of a Shadow Priest though, for example, as Warlocks have no natural way of refreshing their dots. I know it's been that way for a long time, but I personally feel as if Blizzard should not scare away from the idea of giving them a dot refreshing mechanic, simply to ease the gameplay. Yes, that would make things more easy, but I'd be happy to take a quality of life improvement. So whether you enjoy single target DPS, AoEing, or cleaving, the Warlock has everything in store for you. The Death Knight. I don't know why, but I'm slowly getting the need of trying out some melee classes once they hit live. The DK is another candidate that has 2 good DPS specs available at the moment. Frost does deal more damage than Unholy at this time, but that in no way means Unholy is weak. Both are more than playable in the current build and a lot of fun. The animations of the Death Knight are very fluent and help the flow of the game, but I do have to say that they look a bit too comical for the class fantasy. There's a lot of jumping around going on, which I'm sure many don't mind that much, but I can't really identify with it really. Minor issues set aside though, the DK brings a solid toolkit to any given group, but please keep in mind that only the Blood DK is able to mass grip now. Every DK still has the iconic single target death grip, but only a tank DK is able to mass grip. if you don't feel the need of charging onto an enemy, dashing or leaping towards them, or jumping around the battlefield like a lot of other melee classes, then a Death Knight suits you with its controlled, satisfying gameplay. The Warrior is another class that has apparent problems, but doesn't lack the ability of dealing loads of damage. Fury is the stronger spec of the two at the moment in my opinion, at least in PvE, as it's able to pull excellent amounts of damage and even got nerfed about 2 weeks ago. However, many warriors are complaining that the gameplay, specifically that of Fury, just isn't fun. It doesn't feel furious anymore, and players want the fast-paced gameplay that they know back. And I have to agree. The warrior plays itself a little slowly, but that may very well be because of the low stats that are in the current gear. I personally wouldn't write the warrior off just yet, as it can do high amounts of damage and will surely be looked into again. Once more gear and artifact rates are coming in, the story of the warrior will be an entirely different one. The animations are super cool, and the sound effects of them make them feel super cool and sound super cool. It certainly gives the player the feeling of playing a hard-hitting fighter. Alright friends, that concludes my little DPS series of finding out which class is for you. Up next will be my Shadow Priest guide, which you can expect early on next week, and the add-ons I personally will be using for Legion's launch, and why. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I have making it, and if so, please feel free to leave a like, comment, or even subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this video helped you out, and have a good one.